Welcome to this week's edition of Scarborough Toastmasters at Large, our weekly podcast where we meet with local Toastmasters from Scarborough and find out what they're doing in the club, in Pathways, and out there at the world at large. And this is a special edition. We have gotten out of the Scarborough Toastmasters recording studio, and we are recording today live from an actual Scarborough Toastmasters meeting. Now, I know many of you are listening at home, and some of you are having a cup of coffee, and nothing makes coffee taste better than drinking it out of your own Toastmasters International coffee cup. And you can order one right now online for only $14.99 if you enter in the promo code Scarborough Toastmasters Podcast. Tonight, our topic is the yin and yang of podcasting. The yin is the technical. And as you can all see, the technical, and there is the creative, which is the yang. Now, everything in life that you do, cooking, photography, woodworking, consists of the yin and the yang. Take the kitchen, cooking. If you don't know how to use the stove, if you don't know how to turn it on, if you don't know what the frying pans are, or all those little implements out there, you cannot be a creative cook. When it comes to photography, if you don't know the yin, the technical of photography, how the camera works, all the little apertures and lighting settings and f-stops and so forth, you can never do creative photography. And in woodworking, if you don't know how to use a lathe or a saw or a Dremel or a drill or a screwdriver, you cannot make creative woodworking stuff. So tonight, I'm here to talk to you in our podcast about the yin and the yang of podcasting. So the yin, first of all, it starts out with the recording. How do I record it? If you go online, there's all different ways to record it. Tonight, I'm just using a simple Android phone with a couple of wired microphones, but there are endless ways to do your recording. Then you have to edit it. That's the second part of the technical of the yin. And there's all different ways. When I record this, it'll come out as a 3PPG format. I don't know what that is, but I do know I have to edit it and turn it into something else before it allows me to upload it to the internet. Then, the next thing I have to do is upload it. And finally, before I come out and do a podcast, I have to do some work researching my topic, researching my guests, so that I can put a basic script together. That is the yin, the technical of podcasting. But there's also the yang. You can know everything about a stove, everything about a kitchen, but if you don't have that creative spark, you're never going to make an interesting, wonderful meal. You can know everything about a camera, but if you don't have that eye to look out at a sunset, to look at a child playing and find that perfect picture, you're never going to be a creative photographer. And the same with woodworking and the same with podcasting. So the two things go together, the yin and the yang. If I'm not comfortable with this phone, with these wires dangling all over the place, I can't relax, and my guest can't relax. So you have to get the yin and the yang of podcasting. Now, we are podcasting here live tonight, and I'm sure some of the audience here has got some totally unrehearsed questions. Pete, do you have a question?
Yeah. You mentioned researching. How much research do you do with preparation of your podcast?
That is a great unrehearsed question you came up with. It's funny. Some people who do podcasts are going to research about 40 hours for a 1-hour podcast every week. But if you listen to other podcasts like mine, obviously I've done absolutely none at all. Now, I have another question out there in the audience?
Are your podcasts interesting?
That is a great point. Now, the funny thing about a podcast is there is a sweet spot because people listen to it while they do things. They might be woodworking, they might be cooking, they might be doing photography. So the funny part is you don't want to be too interesting. If I'm too interesting and you're cooking, you're going to lose track of what you're doing. If you're doing woodworking and I'm too interesting, you might cut your hand off in the saw. So there's this sweet spot between being so boring that somebody like Sue over there is yawning and falling asleep at the saw and being so interesting. And my audience has told me I am in the sweet spot right now. I'm not that interesting. Any other questions from the audience? John, do you have a question?
Geocaches ever go from tangents?
Yes, yes, they do. And that is the lifeblood of podcasting. When you're doing a speech, you're taking people on a journey from A to B. You know where you're starting and you know where you want to end up. But in podcasting, you're taking them on the beginning of a journey. Think of The Hobbit. When Frodo steps out of his door, he doesn't know where the road's going to take him. And when I ask a guest a question on a podcast, I might ask him about the best speech he ever wrote. And he might tell me about, it was a speech about fishing with his grandfather. And then next thing you know, we're talking about grandfathers. Or we're talking about fishing. And then we're talking about hunting. And then we're talking about gun control. And it just goes off on other tangents. So tangents are wonderful. We love tangents. Tangents are fantastic. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. We have in your podcast, do facts matter?
Do facts matter? That's a great question. If you listen to some podcasts, they have no facts. It's just two people rambling on and on. But other podcasts are very scientific, and the people have a lot of facts, statistics, and numbers. So it depends what your audience is aiming at, whether you use facts or not. Oh, Ying, you.
If someone wants to go,
Who will go online and Google Scarborough Toastmasters, and they would find out that our club has a meeting every night, every Wednesday night, between 7 and 9, and they would be welcome to come out. All guests have to do is bring their smile. Oh my goodness, somebody just texted in a question. What is the hardest part of podcasting? For me personally, I find the hardest part of podcasting is the technical side. I had no idea how to record on a phone. I had no idea how to edit. I had no idea how to upload. So the hardest part for me is the technical. But for other people, it might very well be the creative part. Man, do you have a question?
What is the difference between a regular podcast and a video podcast?
That is a great unrehearsed question. Thank you very much. On a regular podcast, it would be like this. All you would hear is my sound. But on a video podcast, and by the way, we have made 2 or 3 of them. Our president was in one of them. And it's just 2 guys sitting there talking, and you've got the cameras going. Now, one problem is it's a lot more work, because now you have to deal with lighting, you have to deal with cameras, there's a lot more editing to do. Jim, you had a question, didn't you?
podcast easier to do your regular speech. It's like one of the few hundred speeches I did in class.
That is a great question. And I think, for myself, doing a podcast is an awful lot more work because of the Ying, the technical aspects of it. But the creative part is a lot easier. So in some ways, it's a lot harder. There's more work, there's editing, there's uploading, but on the other hand, the creative part, for some people, it's going to flow, and for other people, it isn't. Did anybody else? Oh. Sorry, I think you repeat that there? My favorite podcast? That's a great question, because I've never listened to a podcast in my life. 4 months ago, I didn't know what a podcast was. And because of the Pathways program, I decided I would try one. I would get out of my comfort zone, just like we asked people to do tonight, and try something I've never done before. So I don't actually have a favorite podcast. I've listened to a few, and some of them are, quite frankly, horrid and full of nothing but stupidness and profanity. But there are some that are fantastic and wonderful. So I don't have a favorite podcast yet, but I think if I keep listening, I might get one soon. Oh, we just got somebody phoned in a question. Where did I get this wonderful Toastmasters t-shirt? Well, any of you can go online and order a Toastmasters International t-shirt for $19.95 from the website. Remember to use the promo code of Scarborough Toastmasters Podcast. That's right. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. thank you all for joining us for another edition of Scarborough Toastmasters at Large. And I know you're all going to go online and listen to us and help promote the club. Thank you very much.